everybody, DeathsStalker here. So I thought I'd tell you a little funny story from a long time ago. Now, I've got a few friends. I got quite a few friends that are actually police officers. And my one buddy happened to tell me this one story when he was a police cadet working in the city. And the police cadets sort of work in the administrative area, sort of learning the ropes of what the paperwork side of policing is. And my buddy was working in the records department. Basically, you know, when someone gets arrested, they want to pull the arrest records for this guy. Now, this is back in the days when everything was still on paper. It wasn't on computers. And what usually happened around 5 or 6 in the morning, every day the local media would phone, and they'd ask, you know, what happened last night. Now, the rule is the staff sergeant has to be the one to talk to the reporters. Well, there was this one lady reporter in the area, and just to put it politely, she was not well liked, and she wasn't well liked by fellow reporters, and she was extremely disliked by the police because things like common courtesy, like thank you, please, that sort of stuff, just wasn't there. It was like in your face, and just a particularly nasty person, so no one really liked dealing with her. And the police cadets were more than happy to turn it over to the desk sergeant or the staff sergeant, because that was his job. That's what he got paid for. So the one day she phoned, and the sergeant was away from the desk, and they would say, well, you know, call back in 10 minutes, he's away from his desk. And they actually don't even know what the heck was going on. The sergeant wasn't at his desk. He wasn't at his desk for about 45 minutes. Like every 10 minutes she'd call, and she'd get more insistent on them telling her what was going on. And like my one buddy, he was smart enough. He was like, he wasn't going to say anything. He said, ain't gonna happen. He says, call the sergeant. And she actually was starting to get pretty irate and a little profane, which is a polite way of saying swearing at them. Well, my one buddy, he had done it. Then he basically let the phone ring, and he wasn't going to answer it. Well, he worked with another guy who, to say he had a demented sense of humor was an understatement. And I met the guy a few times, and yeah, he was definitely an individual. And surprisingly, this guy actually had a long career with the police. I can't believe some of the things he's done over the years. Never got himself disciplined or fired. But anyways, this woman kept calling, and then he started picking up the phone, and he was like, you know, sorry, can't talk to you because I gotta wait for the sergeant. And she was like absolutely insistent. She said, I'll call the chief of police. And back in those days, the chief of police, actually, his number was in the phone book, so you could call him. And he just basically was like, oh my god, this person will not go away. So the one time she called, he says, okay, you didn't hear it from me, but we had a submarine stolen. And she went, what? She said, yeah, we had a submarine stolen. It was on a flatbed truck. Somebody pulled up and drove away with it. We got a big search going for it right now. And he figured, okay, that would make her happy and have her go away. And it did for a little while, because that went out in the news. And it actually made, like, this is back in the I'm going to say the late 1970s or 1980s. It actually made the news like all over the place. Like, I remember seeing the American news stations picking it up, the submarine stolen in this location and whatnot. And the sergeant came in, he found out about it, and he, of course, he heard what the guy had said, and he just sort of like shook his head and went like, oh my god, you idiot. Says, so what happened the next day, of course, it all came out that it was all a hoax. And the reporter actually came demanding to see the chief, wanted this guy fired and all that sort of stuff. And back then, like, this was long before the uber politically correct days and stuff, but essentially the chief went like, you were supposed to talk to the desk sergeant, you didn't talk to, you wouldn't wait for him, you kept badgering my people, life's a bitch, move on. And that was the end of it. Like nowadays, of course, the chief be fired and the sergeant be fired and the police cadet would have been fired, but you know, back then it was a little bit different. And the particular reporter, you know, stayed in that area for a while, moved on to another area where she proceeded to annoy people in another city. But you know, so everything sort of continued on. But anyways, that was just a little funny story I remember from long ago, and I thought maybe I'd share it with you people while I happen to remember it. So if you found it funny, you know, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, oh well, you can stop watching anytime. DeathsStalker signing off.